Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into a story, a really tough one. The death of Liam Payne.
Yeah, it's a rough one for sure. I mean, Liam Payne, for those who maybe aren't familiar,
Yeah, giving everyone a little context.
yeah, he was a British pop star, huge part of One Direction.
Global phenomenon, that group.
Absolutely. And, only 31 years old when he passed away.
Way too young.
Just tragic. Fell from a hotel balcony in Buenos Aires back in October, shook a lot of people.
It really did. And there's been a lot of speculation, a lot of rumors flying around ever since.
Of course, yeah. So what we're going to try to do today is, well, cut through all that noise,
Yeah, get to the facts.
Exactly. And we've got some Argentinian legal documents here, and they lay out a pretty disturbing timeline of what happened in those last few hours.
So, these documents, they're our primary source.
Hmm.
What's the mission for today's deep dive?
Well, we're going to try to piece together what led to Liam Payne's fall. Go through the charges being brought against those involved.
5 people facing charges. That's what really struck me. That's a lot of people.
It is, yeah. And it kind of speaks to the complexity of this case, right? You've got Payne's representative, hotel staff, even someone who apparently served him at some point.
A wide range of potential culpability there, and a range of charges, too.
Right, exactly. So 3 of those individuals, Payne's representative, a hotel manager, and a receptionist, they're all facing negligent homicide charges.
Negligent homicide. So essentially, they're being accused of failing to take care, reasonable care.
Yeah.
And that failure led to his death.
That's the gist of it, yeah. And in Argentina, that charge carries a sentence of 1 to 5 years.
Okay, so those charges are focused on, inaction. Like what they didn't do.
Right, but then you've got 2 other individuals, a hotel employee and someone who appears to have served him.
A waiter, perhaps?
Could be, yeah. They're facing charges related to supplying drugs, which is a whole other level.
Much more serious, I'd imagine.
Oh, absolutely. In Argentina, that could mean up to 15 years behind bars.
Wow. 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
That really puts the gravity of the situation into perspective.
Yeah, no kidding.
But going back to those negligence charges, what did these individuals allegedly fail to do?
Well, the judge in this case had some pretty harsh words about their actions, or lack thereof.
What did they say?
Well, the judge basically accused them of completely disregarding Payne's well-being. According to the documents, Payne was exhibiting some concerning behavior in the days before his death.
What kind of behavior are we talking about?
Demanding drugs and alcohol from hotel staff, acting erratically, not himself.
Sounds like a downward spiral.
Yeah, and it seems like it culminated on the day of his death. He was found in the hotel lobby, apparently so intoxicated he couldn't even stand.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the hotel staff, they had to physically drag him back to his room.
You'd think at that point someone would have, called for medical help.
You would think, right. And that's exactly where the judge saw the negligence.
They should have intervened.
Exactly. The staff had a duty of care. They were responsible for ensuring his safety, and they failed.
And what about Payne's representative, this Nor's person? What's their part in all of this?
Well, the judge really came down hard on Nor's. They knew about Payne's past struggles, his addiction issues.
So they knew he was vulnerable.
Exactly. And yet they left him alone in that room. Knowing his history, seeing how he was acting, the judge basically said that abandoning him like that contributed directly to his death.
Even going so far as to say that Payne's death was foreseeable.
Strong words. But, given the information, it's hard to argue.
It paints a very bleak picture. Multiple people potentially at fault, a whole series of missed opportunities, bad decisions. It's just tragic.
Absolutely. And then you add in the toxicology report, and it just adds another layer to all this.
What did the toxicology report reveal?
Traces of alcohol, cocaine, antidepressants, all in his system.
So a cocktail of substances.
Yeah, and while the official cause of death was ruled as those multiple injuries, the internal bleeding from the fall,
the presence of those substances suggests a very chaotic state of mind in those final hours.
It does, yeah. And then there's the description of his hotel room.
What was that like?
It's described as, messy, drugs scattered around, empty bottles, broken furniture. It kind of points to a potential breakdown.
It's a heartbreaking image.
Absolutely. And then, there's the prosecution's theory about how it all happened. They believe Payne was probably trying to leave his room via that balcony.
When he fell.
Yeah, and they think he was likely in a state of semi-consciousness, maybe even completely unconscious.
It's a lot to process. Before we wrap up, I think it's important to emphasize that everything we've talked about today is based on these legal documents.
Yeah, good point. It's an ongoing investigation. And those charged are innocent until proven guilty, of course.
Absolutely. But this deep dive, it really highlights the complexities of this tragedy. We see those missed opportunities, the potential culpability, the devastating impact of addiction.
And it makes you think, doesn't it, about responsibility, accountability, about the systems that are supposed to be in place to protect vulnerable individuals.
Absolutely. It's a stark reminder that even surrounded by people, someone can still fall through the cracks. And as we end this deep dive, the question that sticks with me is, could this have been prevented? Could someone, anyone, have stepped in, done something differently, and saved Liam Payne's life? It's something to think about.
It is. It really is.
Thanks for joining us for this difficult but important conversation. Until next time, take care.